The blue lights of the Galactic Confederation scout ship Starseeker pulsed as it drifted through the uncharted sector. Commander Zixtal stood on the bridge, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the readings on the main screen. His scaled skin shimmered under the soft light as he leaned forward. "Are you certain about these energy signatures?" he asked, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic speech. Officer Meal-Ra nodded, her tentacles waving with excitement. "Yes, Commander. The pattern matches nothing in our database, but it's definitely artificial. Something big is out there." Zixtal considered their options. The Confederation had sent them to map this sector, not to investigate unknown vessels. But curiosity had always been his weakness. "Prepare a reconnaissance team," he ordered. "Full environmental protection. We don't know what we're dealing with." 6 hours later, the scout ship approached a massive structure floating in the emptiness of space. It was clearly a ship, but unlike any they had seen before. Nearly 2 kilometers long, its hull was covered in strange markings and showed signs of both severe damage and recent repairs. "Scan it," Zixtal commanded. The science officer, Trell Knox, gasped as the results appeared. "Commander, this can't be right. The ship's internal environment registers as Class-210. A hush fell over the bridge. Class-210 was the designation for the most extreme Deathworld conditions known to the Confederation. Such environments contained toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures, and radiation levels that would kill most sentient species within minutes. "Check again," Zixtal said. "The readings are consistent, sir, but—" Trellnox paused, adjusting the scanner. "We're detecting movement inside, multiple life forms. This was impossible. No known species could survive such conditions without heavy protection. Prepare the boarding team," Zixtal decided. "Maximum environmental suits and defensive weapons. I'll lead the mission myself." As they suited up in the airlock, Security Chief Vraldex checked each team member's equipment 3 times. The suits were the best the Confederation had developed, but even they could only withstand Class-210 conditions for about 4 hours. "Remember," Zixtal told his team of 6, "we observe only. Do not engage any life forms unless threatened. We need to understand what we're dealing with." They crossed the short distance to the mysterious ship using their suit thrusters. A partially repaired airlock on the larger vessel's side seemed to offer the best entry point. Vraldex bypassed the simple security system, and the door slid, open with a groan of metal. Inside, their suit sensors immediately began flashing warnings. The radiation levels alone should have sterilized the interior. The temperature fluctuated between freezing and boiling in different sections. The atmosphere contained elements that would dissolve Zixtal's lungs in seconds if he breathed it. Yet the lights were on, and systems hummed with power. "Movement ahead," whispered Vraldex through the comm system. 50 meters down the main corridor. They moved cautiously, weapons ready but not raised. The corridor showed signs of recent work. New metal patches on the walls, fresh wiring hanging in bundles, tools scattered on surfaces. As they rounded a corner, they froze in unified shock. A bipedal creature stood with its back to them, wearing nothing but simple cloth coverings on parts of its body. It held a welding tool, sparks flying as it repaired a section of wall paneling. The being wore no environmental protection whatsoever. "Impossible," breathed Trellnox. The sound carried and the creature turned around. It was humanoid, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head with 2 eyes and a single mouth. Its skin was a light brown, and it had short black hair on its head. It smiled, revealing flat teeth. "Oh, hey there," it said in perfect galactic standard. "You guys must be the Confederation scouts. We picked up your ship on our sensors about an hour ago." The alien seemed completely unbothered by the deadly environment or by the arrival of 6 heavily armed and armored visitors. "You..." Zixtal struggled to find words. "How are you alive? This environment is Class-210. You have no protection." The creature looked confused, then laughed. "Oh, right. Your environmental classifications. Yeah, we checked those when we found this place. It's a bit stuffy in some sections, but nothing we can't handle. I'm Alan, by the way. Alan Garcia." Before Zixtal could respond, more of the creatures appeared from adjoining corridors. They varied in size, coloration, and features, but all were clearly of the same species. None wore environmental protection. "How many of you are there?" asked Vraldex, weapon now half raised in confusion. A female of the species stepped forward. She was wiping her hands on a cloth, leaving black smears that Zixtal recognized as engine lubricant. Her hair was tied back and she wore practical clothing covered in tool pouches. "We've got 28 people working on this project right now," she said. "I'm Samantha Wright, crew leader. Sorry about the mess. We weren't expecting visitors until next week." "Next week?" Zixtal couldn't follow. "You knew we were coming?" Samantha shook her head. "Not you specifically. The Zithrai ambassador is scheduled to inspect our progress. This ship belonged to his ancestors. Another of the creatures, this one male with darker skin, approached with a container of liquid. "Anyone want water? Oh wait, can you guys even drink water through those suits?" "We are fine," Zixtal said automatically. "Please explain. What species are you? How are you surviving these conditions?" "We're humans," Samantha said simply. "From Earth. We found this derelict about 3 months ago and have been restoring it." Trelnox's voice came through the private comm channel. "Commander, Earth is classified as a Class 4 Deathworld. These must be its native inhabitants. Even Class 4 was considered extremely hostile to most life, but Class 210 was over 50 times worse. What are you doing with this vessel?" Vraldex asked, suspicion in his voice. "This design contains weapons technology banned by the Confederation for 3,000 cycles." The humans looked at each other with surprise. "Weapons?" Alan asked. "We've been focused on getting the life support and engines running. Haven't even looked at weapons systems yet." A new human joined the group, this one female with red hair. "We're restoring it as a home for Kal," she explained. "He's a Zithrai refugee who saved our colony on Proxima B when a meteor was going to hit it. He lost his family ship saving us." A Zithrai? Zixtal knew the species. They were respected, members of the Confederation. "Why would a Zithrai want an ancient warship?" "He said it matches the description of his ancestral home vessel," Samantha said. "We're just helping him get it working again. He's been living in a tiny shuttle for 2 years." "You're doing this for free?" Vraldex couldn't hide his disbelief. "Well, yeah," Alan shrugged. "He saved thousands of our people. Least we could do is help him get a proper home again. Would you like a tour?" Samantha offered, gesturing down the corridor. "We've got most of the central sections restored, still working on the propulsion system, but we think we've figured out how the artificial gravity generators work." Zixtal looked at his team, all showing signs of the same shock he felt. These humans were not only surviving in conditions that should kill them instantly, but they were casually repairing an ancient superweapon-class vessel, just to give it as a gift to someone who had helped them. "Yes," he decided. "We would very much like a tour." Samantha smiled and wiped more grease from her hands. "Great. Follow me. And don't worry about those warning lights on your suits. The radiation in this section is actually pretty mild compared to what we deal with in the engine room." As they followed the humans deeper into the ship, Zixtal couldn't help but wonder what other surprises Earth's inhabitants might have in store for the Confederation. Commander Zixtal and his team followed Samantha through the enormous ship. Their suit sensors continued to flash warnings about the deadly environment, yet the humans walked around without any protection, talking and laughing as they worked. "This section here used to be completely destroyed," Samantha explained, pointing to a newly rebuilt corridor. "We had to replace almost all the metal panels and rewire everything." "How can you touch these materials without protection?" Trelnox asked. "Our scans showed toxic compounds in the metal itself." Alan shrugged. "Oh, the old paint had some nasty stuff in it, but we scraped most of that off. We wear gloves for that part." He held up his hands, showing simple cloth gloves that would offer almost no protection by Confederation standards. Officer Milra moved closer to examine a panel the humans had been working on. Her scanner beeped urgently. "This material is giving off radiation that would kill my species in hours," she said. A new human joined the group, a tall male with dark brown skin. "Yeah, we noticed that too. I'm Jeff Brown, radiation specialist. We've been containing the worst of it with some lead sheets. The levels are actually pretty similar to what we deal with in some of our older nuclear facilities back home. The aliens exchanged looks of shock through their helmet visors. Your home planet has similar radiation levels? Zixtal asked. Not everywhere, Jeff replied. But we've had nuclear accidents in our past. Some of us are trained to work in those environments. They continued walking through the ship. Humans of various sizes and colors nodded friendly greetings as they passed. Some were carrying heavy equipment that Zixtal knew would require mechanical assistance for most Confederation species. Here's the main control room, Samantha said as they entered a large chamber. We've got most of the systems back online. The room was alive with lights and displays. 3 humans sat at different stations, typing on interfaces they had clearly modified to match their technology. This is Olivia Martinez, our communications specialist. Samantha introduced a human female with long black hair. Nice to meet you, Olivia said, looking up from her work. Are you the first Confederation contact team? We've been trying to send messages, but we weren't sure if the old communication systems were compatible with your modern networks. You've been trying to contact the Confederation? Vraldex asked suspiciously. Of course, Olivia replied. We wanted to register the ship properly once we got it working again. Cal explained all the regulations about spacecraft in Confederation space. Zixtal was trying to process this information when another human approached. This one was male with short blonde hair. If you're worried about the weapons, you should talk to Daniel, Samantha said. He's been mapping all the ship's defense systems. Daniel nodded at the aliens. Most of the weapons were disabled or destroyed long ago. We've been cataloging them but not reactivating anything without proper clearance. Kal was very clear about Confederation rules on ancient weaponry. Vraldex stepped forward. Show me these weapons. Daniel led them to a different console and brought up a schematic display. Even through the simplified interface, Zixtal recognized weapon systems that were the stuff of legend and nightmare. This ship had once been capable of destroying entire planets. These targeting systems are similar to some old Earth designs, Daniel explained, but much more advanced. We think this laser array here could cut through a small moon. He spoke with casual interest, as if discussing an antique car engine rather than a doomsday weapon. You understand what these weapons can do? Zixtal asked, carefully. In theory, Daniel shrugged. But like I said, most are disabled. The power core couldn't handle them anyway in its current state. Vraldex's voice was tense over the private comm channel. Commander, these humans are casually handling world-killer technology. They must be contained. Before Zixtal could respond, the ship's lights flashed briefly. That's just Pat testing the new power couplings, Samantha explained. We're gradually bringing systems online section by section. Why exactly are you doing all this work? Trelnox asked. Simply for gratitude to this Zithrai named Kyle. The humans looked at each other as if the question was strange. Well, yeah, Alan said. Plus, it's an amazing opportunity. This ship has technology we've never seen before. We're learning a ton. Are you not concerned about the danger? Zixtal pressed. Both from the environment and from unknown technology? Samantha smiled. Of course we're careful. We lost some equipment figuring out the toxic areas. But that's just part of exploration, right? You take risks to discover new things. A loud clang echoed through the ship, followed by a distant human voice shouting something. Sounds like they're having trouble with the secondary airlock, Alan said. I should go help. Wait, Zixtal said. How many of these restoration projects has your species undertaken? This is our first ancient alien warship, if that's what you're asking, Samantha replied with a slight laugh. But we've restored old vessels from our own history. Ships, planes, even space shuttles for museums. And Kyle knows you are doing this? Vraldex asked. It was his idea, Olivia explained. When he saw how quickly we repaired our colony after the meteor, he asked if we might help with his ancestral ship. He found it adrift but couldn't restore it alone. How did he even survive coming aboard? Meelra asked. Zithrai are not known for environmental resilience. "Oh, he can only visit certain sections we've fully contained," Jeff said. "We set up special chambers with air he can breathe." A new voice came over the ship's communication system. "Samantha, the shuttle's approaching. Cal's about 20 minutes out." "Perfect timing," Samantha said. "You can meet him yourselves." As they waited, Zixtal's team huddled together, speaking privately through their suit comms. "These humans are incredible," Milra said. "To survive these conditions without protection, it defies everything we know about biology. They're also dangerous," Fraldex countered. "They're handling world-destroying weapons like children's toys." "But they're not activating them," Trelnox pointed out. "They seem to understand the regulations, even if they don't share our caution." Their discussion was interrupted by the sound of an airlock cycling. Minutes later, a tall, slender figure entered the control room. The Zithrai had the typical blue-green skin of his species and wore a full environmental suit, though much lighter than the ones the Confederation team wore. "Cal!" Samantha called. "We have visitors. A Confederation scout team found us." The Zithrai's large eyes widened in surprise. He bowed formally to Zixtal. "Commander, I am Cal of the Zithrai. I did not expect the Confederation to find us so quickly. I was planning to register the vessel once the humans had completed the basic restoration." "You know what this ship is?" Zixtal asked directly. Cal tilted his head. "It matches the design of my family's ancestral vessel. Lost generations ago. When I found it adrift, I recognized the markings." "But do you know what it was designed for?" Fraldex pressed. "This is a Class 4 Devastator, a planet killer from the Scourge Wars." Cal stepped back in shock. "That cannot be. My family were explorers and merchants, not warriors." The humans and aliens looked at each other in confusion. Something wasn't adding up. "Perhaps," Zixtal said carefully, "we should all compare information about this vessel. It seems there is much we all have to learn." News traveled fast across the Galactic Confederation network. Within 3 days of Commander Zixtal's discovery, an emergency council meeting was called. The central chamber of the Confederation station was filled with representatives from over 40 species. Displays showed images of the ancient ship and the humans working inside it. "This is deeply concerning," said Elder Vrobix of the Meldarian delegation. "Humans restoring a Class 4 Devastator is a threat to galactic peace." "We don't know that they intend to use it as a weapon," countered Ambassador Jewel, a Zithrai representative. "My kinsman Cal believes it was his ancestral family vessel." The debate grew heated. Some council members called for immediate military action to seize the ship. Others suggested containment of Earth and all human colonies. The fear of a Deathworld species with planet-killer technology spread through the chamber. Like a virus, a small shuttle docked at the station during the third hour of debate. The arrival of Earth's ambassador had been expected, but not the small team of humans who accompanied her. Ambassador Elizabeth Reeves walked into the council chamber with confidence. She was a short woman with gray hair and a kind face that showed no fear, even as hundreds of alien eyes turned to stare at her. 4 more humans walked behind her. "Esteemed council members," Elizabeth began, "I understand your concerns about the vessel my people are restoring. I've brought experts who can address your questions." A tall woman with brown skin stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Linda Powell, xenobiologist, from Earth. First, let me explain why conditions you classify as Class-210 don't affect us the same way they do your species." Linda displayed data on the main screen. "Earth is what you call a death world because it has high gravity, extreme temperature variations, intense radiation from our sun, and many toxic compounds in our environment. Humans evolved to survive these conditions." She showed images of Earth's harshest environments: deserts, Arctic regions, volcanoes, and deep oceans. "Our bodies can withstand radiation levels that would harm many species because our cells have advanced repair mechanisms. Our skin blocks many toxins. Our lungs can filter harmful particles. And our digestive systems can break down compounds that would poison others." Many council members muttered in disbelief. Some made notes on their datapads. A human male with short black hair and a military uniform stepped forward next. "I'm Captain Ryan Cooper, Earth Defense Force. Let me address your concerns about weapon systems on the vessel." Ryan showed detailed scans of the ship. We recognize these are powerful systems by any standard, but we've been documenting everything and plan to register all weapons with Confederation authorities. We have no intention of activating planet killer capabilities. Elder Vrobik stood. Even if that is true, the knowledge alone is dangerous. Humans could replicate this technology. We could, Ryan acknowledged. But we won't. Earth history taught us hard lessons about weapons of mass destruction. We developed nuclear weapons centuries ago and came close to destroying ourselves. We've since created strict controls on such technologies. The third human, a man with red hair and beard, approached the display. I'm William Jackson, military historian. In Earth's past, we've repeatedly converted military technology to peaceful uses. Missile technology became space exploration. Military aircraft became passenger transportation. Nuclear weapons research led to power generation. He showed images of human history, from wars to peaceful cooperation. We understand the ship's original purpose may have been warfare, but its technology can be used for exploration, rescue operations, and transportation. That's Kaal's intention, and we support it. The chamber erupted with questions and objections. Elizabeth raised her hands for silence. Council members, we recognize your concerns. We propose a compromise. The fourth human, a woman with blonde hair tied back in a practical style, stepped forward. I'm Grace Miller, lead engineer on the restoration project. We're willing to accept Confederation inspectors on site. Any weapon systems can be permanently disabled to your specifications while preserving the ship's other functions. This offer created a new wave of discussion among the council. Ambassador Jewel of the Zithrai spoke again. The human proposal seems reasonable. My people will vouch for Earth's intentions. Kaal has worked closely with humans for 2 years and finds them honorable. Commander Zixtal, who had been silent until now, addressed the council. During our inspection, we observed humans working in deadly conditions with minimal concern for their personal safety. Yet they took great care with systems they believed might be dangerous to others. Their priority seemed to be helping Kaal, not weaponizing the ship. The debate continued for hours. Finally, High Counselor Prenva called for a decision. We will permit the restoration to continue under these conditions. First, a permanent Confederation inspection team will monitor all work. Second, all weapon systems must be disabled beyond repair. Third, the ship must be registered as a civilian vessel under joint Zithrai human ownership. Elizabeth nodded. We accept these terms. As the council session ended, many representatives approached the humans with questions. Some were afraid, but others were curious. The Earthers answered patiently, explaining their biology, their history, and their relationship with Kaal. Later, in a private room, Elizabeth met with her team. That went as well as we could hope, she said. Linda nodded. They're still afraid of us, afraid of what we can survive. Can you blame them? William asked. We casually work in environments that would kill them in minutes. To them, we might as well be walking through fire. The real challenge starts now, Grace said. The inspection team will watch our every move. And I'm not convinced all those weapon systems are as simple as they appear. Some of the technology looks more advanced than just ship-to-ship combat. What do you mean? Elizabeth asked. Grace pulled up her personal scans on a datapad. See these components? They're not just weapons. They're connected to the ship's sensor array in ways that don't make sense for normal combat. I think there's something else to this vessel, something neither we nor the Confederation has figured out yet. Ryan studied the scans. You think the ship had another purpose? Beyond being a devastator? I don't know, Grace admitted. But I intend to find out before we start disabling systems. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Elizabeth looked concerned. Be careful. The Confederation is watching us closely now. One wrong move could have serious consequences for Earth. Speaking of consequences, Linda said, did you see how they reacted when I showed them our environmental adaptations? Some of them wanted to classify us as a higher threat level just for being able to survive radiation. That's why diplomacy matters as much as technology right now, Elizabeth said. We need to show them that our resilience doesn't make us dangerous, it just makes us different. As they discussed next steps, a communication alert sounded. It was Samantha Wright calling from the ancient ship. Ambassador, we found something you need to see, she said, her face serious on the screen. Hidden data crystals, buried in the ship's core systems. They contain star charts and warning messages in a language even Kal doesn't recognize. I think this ship wasn't just running from something. It was hunting something. The room fell silent as they absorbed this new information. The mystery of the ancient vessel was deepening, and with it the complexity of human Confederation relations. The ancient ship's central data room hummed with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, examining the mysterious data crystals that Samantha's team had discovered. The Confederation inspection team, led by Senior Inspector Krell Noth, watched with growing concern. Sophia Nelson, a human data technician with short blonde hair, carefully connected one of the crystals to a translation device. Her fingers moved with precision despite the radiation warnings flashing on nearby Confederation sensors. This is the third crystal we've analyzed, she explained to the gathered group. The language appears to be from the pre-unification era, at least 12,000 years old. Kal leaned closer, his environmental suit whirring as it filtered the air for him. My ancestors' records don't go back that far. None of the symbols match HFY historical texts. Ambassador Elizabeth and Commander Zixtal stood at the back of the room, watching the work. Your people continue to surprise us, Zixtal said quietly. Working with such ancient and potentially dangerous data without hesitation. Elizabeth smiled. Curiosity is a powerful human trait. Sometimes it gets us into trouble, but it's also how we've survived and advanced. The translation device beeped, and a series of images appeared on the main screen. Star maps, strange vessel designs, and text in an unknown language scrolled past. I think I'm getting it, Sophia said, adjusting settings. The translation algorithm is finding patterns similar to early Confederation trade languages. Slowly, words began appearing alongside the alien text. Warning. Voidborne approach. Defense protocols engaged. Seek shelter in designated systems. The room fell silent. Voidborne? Inspector Krell Noth asked. I've never heard of such a species. Linda Powell, who had remained on the ship after the council meeting, checked her database. No mention in Earth records either. Alan Garcia pointed to the star maps. Look at these systems. Many of them don't exist anymore. They're just empty space, now, or debris fields. More text coming through, Sophia announced. Hunter-killer units remain active. Avoid grid sectors marked in red. Remaining fleet vessels converge at rally point Sigma 7. Kal touched the screen, tracing the path shown on the star map. This explains why the ship was so heavily armed. It wasn't a planet killer. It was running from something that destroyed planets. Or hunting something that did, Ryan Cooper added. He had joined the inspection team as Earth's military liaison. Suddenly, the ship's newly restored alert system blared to life. Grace Miller's voice came over the communication system. Unknown vessels detected at the edge of the system. 3 of them, moving fast. Everyone rushed to the bridge. The main view screen showed 3 sleek, dark objects approaching. They matched no known Confederation design. Their surfaces seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Are they responding to communication? Elizabeth asked. Negative, said Olivia from her station. I'm broadcasting on all frequencies, but they're ignoring us. Commander Zixtal contacted his scout ship. Deploy defensive measures. Alert Confederation fleet. 3 Confederation patrol ships in the sector moved to intercept the unknown vessels. From the ancient ship's bridge, they watched as the patrol ships fired warning shots. The dark vessels didn't slow down. Instead, they released a pulse of energy that cut through the first patrol ship like it was made of paper. The other Confederation ships opened fire with full weapons, but their shots seemed to be absorbed by the dark hulls. This is impossible, Inspector Krell Noth whispered. Those are our most advanced ships. Look at the design. Kevin Benson, a human military strategist who had joined the team, pointed to the screen. Compare them to the images from the data. Crystals. He pulled up the ancient warnings beside the live feed. The match was clear. These are hunter-killers, Kevin said, part of what the ancient warnings called the Voidborn. The second Confederation patrol ship exploded in a ball of light. The third turned to retreat but was caught in another energy pulse and went dark. Confederation reinforcements are 20 minutes out, Zixtal reported grimly. But if our weapons are ineffective, Grace looked at the ship's systems display. Some of the weapons on this vessel are still partially functional. They might be designed specifically to fight these things. Inspector Krell-Noth shook his head. The Council ordered all weapons disabled. They're not fully operational yet, Ryan pointed out. But we haven't permanently disabled them as required. We might be able to get the main defense array online. Elizabeth looked at Zixtal. This is your call, Commander. We're in Confederation space. The dark vessels changed course. They were now heading directly toward the ancient ship. They must have detected us powering up the systems, Daniel said from the weapons station. They know what this ship is. Zixtal only hesitated for a moment. Activate whatever weapons you can. This is now a survival situation. The humans moved, with surprising speed. Daniel and Ryan took the weapons controls while Grace and Alan rushed to the engine room to divert power. Sophia and Linda analyzed the data crystals for any tactical information about the hunter-killers. I've got partial power to the main array, Daniel reported. It's an energy weapon unlike anything I've seen before. The targeting system is strange. Kevin studied the ancient controls. I think it doesn't target the ships directly. Look at these readings. It targets the space around them. The hunter-killers were now 10 minutes away. Their black hulls absorbed all scans, making conventional targeting impossible. I've got something, Sophia called over the comm. The data says hunter-killers use spatial distortion for protection. They bend space around themselves to absorb or redirect energy. Kevin nodded. So a direct hit is useless. We need to disrupt the space they're manipulating. With Grace's help, they calibrated the ancient weapon. Power built up in systems that had been dormant for thousands of years. Ready to fire, Daniel announced. But we only have enough power for 2, maybe 3, shots. The hunter-killers were now 5 minutes away. The remaining Confederation ships in the system were moving to defensive positions, but they kept their distance, having seen what happened to the patrol vessels. Fire when ready, Zixtal ordered. Daniel activated the weapon. Instead of a beam or projectile, rings of energy pulsed outward from the ship. They spread like ripples in water, barely visible except where they distorted the stars behind them. When the rings reached the first hunter-killer, the space around it seemed to shudder. The dark vessel's protective field collapsed, and its true form was revealed. A skeletal structure of metal and crystal. Now, Kevin shouted. The Confederation ships fired at the exposed vessel. This time their weapons tore through it, reducing it to fragments. It worked, Olivia cheered. 2 more. To go, Ryan said grimly. Power up for the second shot. As they prepared to fire again, the remaining hunter-killers changed tactics. They split up, approaching from different angles at increased speed. They're learning, Kevin warned. The second shot might not work the same way. Grace's voice came over the comm from the engine room. We can get 1 more good shot, maybe 2 weaker ones. The power systems can't handle much more stress. Daniel targeted the closest hunter-killer and fired. The energy rings pulsed out again, but this time the dark vessel seemed partially prepared. Its field flickered, but didn't fully collapse. It's adapting, Sophia warned. The data says they can reconfigure their defenses. The hunter-killer fired an energy beam at the ancient ship. The impact shook the entire vessel. Hull breach on deck 4, Alan reported. Automatic seals engaged. The third hunter-killer was approaching from below. Their situation was looking increasingly desperate. We need something they can't adapt to, Kevin said, thinking fast. Something unpredictable. Samantha, who had been quiet until now, looked up from a console where she'd been analyzing the ship's systems. I have an idea, she said, But it's going to take all of us working together, humans and Confederation. The hunter-killers adapt to patterns, Samantha explained quickly. But they can't adapt to what they don't understand. And they don't understand humans. She pointed to a set of neural interface controls that they had discovered but not yet fully examined. This ship wasn't just designed to fight with weapons, it was designed to fight with unpredictability. These interfaces were meant for the original crew to directly connect their thoughts to the ship's systems. Commander Zixtal looked skeptical. Such technology is extremely dangerous. The neural load would kill most species. But we already know humans can survive conditions that would kill other species, Elizabeth pointed out. And we're running out of options. The ship shook again as another blast from the hunter-killers hit their shields. Shields at 37%. Jeff reported from the engineering station. What do you need us to do? Kevin asked Samantha. I need 5 humans to connect to the interface system. The rest of you, human and Confederation, need to route all power to wherever we direct it, exactly when we call for it. Daniel looked at the neural interfaces with concern. We have no idea what those will do to our brains. No, Samantha agreed. But we know what the hunter-killers will do to all of us if we don't stop them. 5 volunteers stepped forward. Samantha, Kevin, Sophia, Grace, and Alan. The Confederation personnel should coordinate with the incoming reinforcements, Elizabeth suggested. We'll need them to follow up once we disrupt the hunter-killers' defenses. As the 5 humans prepared to connect to the ancient interfaces, Linda performed quick medical scans. Your brain activity will likely spike to dangerous levels, she warned. I can't predict what will happen. Neither can the hunter-killers, Samantha said with a grim smile. That's the point. The neural interface chairs were arranged in a circle in a small chamber near the bridge. Each volunteer sat down and placed the ancient headgear over their skulls. The metal was cold at first, then warmed as it activated. Power levels rising throughout the ship, Olivia reported from the bridge. The interfaces are drawing energy from all systems. Inside the neural chamber, the 5 humans gasped as their minds connected. It wasn't like any technology they had experienced before. They could feel the ship as if it were part of their bodies. They could sense each other's thoughts without speaking. Through the ship's sensors, they could see the hunter-killers approaching. But they saw more than just physical vessels. They saw patterns of energy, weaknesses in structure, hints of the programming that guided the ancient weapons. Outside, Commander Zixtal and Inspector Krelnoth watched in amazement as the ship's systems began to operate in completely new ways. Lights flickered in random sequences. Power flowed between systems in patterns that made no logical sense. What are they doing? Krelnoth asked. Ryan, monitoring the neural interface readings, shook his head in wonder. I don't think even they know exactly. They're improvising. On the bridge view screen, they watched as the ancient ship began to move. It had never been fully repaired for flight, yet somehow it was now maneuvering through space. The engines weren't functioning in any conventional way, but the ship was generating some kind of propulsion field. The hunter-killers are changing course to intercept, Olivia reported. Inside the neural chamber, the 5 connected humans communicated without words. They expect patterns, Kevin thought. So we give them chaos, Grace responded. Not random, Sophia corrected. Unpredictable but purposeful. Human, Alan added. Together, Samantha concluded. Through their connection, they accessed weapon systems that hadn't been active for millennia, but they didn't use them as designed. Instead, they reconfigured energy outputs, combined systems in ways the original builders never intended. On the bridge, the Confederation officers and remaining humans watched in awe as the ancient ship performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. It bent energy around itself in ways that defied conventional physics. The hunter-killers fired again, but their shots went wide as the ship moved in patterns they couldn't predict. The ancient vessel's response wasn't a conventional attack. Instead, it released bursts of energy that seemed to fold space around the hunter-killers. Confederation reinforcements arriving, Zixtal announced. 20 ships, heavy cruiser class. Tell them to stand by, Elizabeth ordered. Our people need to finish this first. In the neural chamber, the 5 connected humans were pushing their bodies to the limit. Blood trickled from Samantha's nose. Alan's hands trembled. Sweat poured down Grace's face. Kevin's breathing was shallow and rapid. Sophia's heart raced dangerously fast, but their minds were clear, working together with the ship's ancient systems. They identified the fundamental frequency of the hunter-killer's spatial distortion fields, not by calculation, but by feeling it, by understanding it in a way that transcended normal physics. Now, they thought together. The ship released a final pulse, not of destructive energy but of harmonizing waves. The pulse reached out and touched the hunter-killers. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the dark vessels began to vibrate. Their protective fields didn't collapse. They inverted. The space around them folded inward, crushing the hunter-killers in their own defensive bubbles. Where 3 deadly vessels had been, there were now only small, dense objects, their entire mass compressed into spheres no larger than human fists. In the neural chamber, the 5 humans collapsed as the interface shut down. Medical teams rushed in to treat them. 3 days later, they gathered in the same bridge where their adventure had begun. All 5 had recovered, though doctors said they would need time to process the neural strain they had experienced. The Galactic Confederation Council had been in continuous session since the attack. Now, High Counselor Prenva addressed them. Via holographic projection, the Council has reviewed all evidence from this incident. The threat posed by these hunter-killers appears to confirm the warnings found in the ancient data. More may be active throughout the galaxy. Elizabeth stepped forward. What is the Council's decision regarding the ship? The vessel will not be disarmed as previously ordered, Prenva stated. Instead, it will be fully restored as the first vessel in a new joint Human Confederation defense initiative. Cheers erupted among the humans. Even the Confederation officers looked relieved. Furthermore, Prenva continued, Earth is formally invited to join the Galactic Confederation as a full member world. Your species' unique abilities and perspective have proven valuable beyond measure. Commander Zixtal approached Samantha, who still looked pale but stood proudly with her team. When we first met, I thought humans were reckless for working in deadly conditions without protection, he admitted. Now I understand that what seems impossible to one species may be ordinary to another. And what seems ordinary to us might be extraordinary when we need it most, Samantha replied with a smile. Kyle joined them, his environmental suit now modified with human-designed improvements that gave him more freedom of movement. My ancestor's ship has found a new purpose, he said, and I have found new family among the stars. The ship, no longer a mysterious derelict but now a symbol of cooperation, hummed with energy as work crews, human and alien side by side, continued its restoration. On the main view screen, the compressed remains of the hunter-killers served as a reminder of the ancient threat. But the data crystals contained star charts showing where more might be found, and now they had a way to fight them. As Elizabeth prepared to return to Earth with news of the Confederation's invitation, she paused to look back at the unlikely, heroes who had turned potential conflict into alliance. This is just the beginning, she said. There's an entire galaxy out there, filled with wonders and dangers we can't imagine, but we'll face them together. Samantha nodded, looking out at the stars. That's what humans do best. We adapt, we overcome, and we bring others along with us. The ancient ship, once abandoned in the emptiness of space, now pulsed with new life and purpose, a bridge between worlds that had once seemed impossibly different, now united against a common threat.